I am so excited to have Scott Ohlgren on my summit here. I mean, just the story we have together is just incredible. So I'm very pleased to introduce to y'all my good friend Scott Ohlgren, and we weren't such good friends until recently, but I knew about you for many years, over 15 years.
Yeah.
You wrote some amazing books and you did some audios, and I'm trying to figure out how I discovered you. I think it was online, and just listening to you talk about the gut and detoxification and how toxins affect the health.
Yeah.
I was just amazed, and I used, because I used to lecture, right? And so I used a lot of your material to help educate my patients. And you had a fantastic book. We used to buy the book and give it to the patients to read.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on. I'm really pleased that you not only had me on, but all these years later, John, you're still doing this. You're still teaching people. It's great.
Yeah. So there's more to the story, right?
There is.
So we have that, and so I'm using your books, and I learned so much from you. And we're fast forward now almost 20 years, and I'm cleaning some things out in my garage, right, in a box, and your cassette, or not the cassette, but the CD fell out. How Health Works.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Scott Ohlgren, I wonder if he'll be on my summit. So I had my marketing girl, Brooke, give you a call, and you're here in Sarasota. I mean, so he's in my town, right?
Yeah.
So I think it just so happened I was taking my boat out, and I invited you and your beautiful girlfriend, Roxanne, to come out on the boat, and we really hit it off. And so we've been in strong contact since then. So,
yeah.
Anyway.
It's great. It's great. It's so great. I love that all those years later we finally were able to meet up and then see how many more connections that we actually have and interests. Yeah.
Well, I'm really excited about this this interview, because I think we're gonna be able to bring a lot of great information to the people watching this. You are a wealth of knowledge within health, and I think we're just going to kind of rabbit hole into wherever it goes. But in general, what you're going to learn about in this interview is how to be healthy, how to get healthier. So whether you're dealing with a chronic disease and you're wanting to try and figure out what types of steps you can do to allow your body the best potential to get healthier, or maybe you're really healthy and you just want to kind of maximize and be more vital and have more energy. This interview is going to be good for you to pay attention to, take notes. Let's dive into some of the basics. So what are some of the basics you teach your students?
The first thing I like to teach people are two fundamental biological processes that are overlooked. And once you experience them, it's like memorizing a song, or memorizing a stanza. It's like everything opens up, and suddenly all of your childhood illnesses and the things you used to have problems with, even the things you came in pre-cleanse, suddenly make sense. And those two biological processes that are so critical to understand is, the first one is what you would call cellular regeneration. Cellular regeneration acknowledges that the cells in our body, the eyeballs, the skin, the digestive tract, the cells that make up your taste buds, your heart tissue, your muscles, all of it, your stomach lining, they all have a life cycle. And they don't get created in the womb and then they die at 96. That's not how they work. They live for a period of time, they grow, they have their maturity level, they have their decline, and then they're dead, and then they're replaced.
So you're saying that all of the cells and tissues in the body are constantly replacing themselves?
That is correct.
Okay.
Now, most people know that, but what they don't tie in is really understanding, number one, They all have their own life cycle. Most people know that, like, for instance, red blood cells, they have a life cycle between 90 and 120 days.
Yeah.
Okay, but every single one of the types of cells have different ranges. Just to give you two, because that gives people an idea. Stomach lining, 15 to 25 days. Taste buds. This one I just learned myself, and it blew my mind because it kind of ties into the whole concept of cleansing. 10 to 21 days. In other words, your taste buds a month ago are no longer in existence, and you've got entirely new taste buds.
Is that why, if I change my diet to something with less sugar or less, refined carbohydrates, that eventually I'm going to start to rewire my taste, where I'm going to not need as much of a hit, right?
You got it. And after a cleanse, one of the things we actually teach people to do is, after you do a 28-day cleanse, on the 29th day, go eat something that you used to eat as a matter of course on a daily basis, and just experience that first bite. Sometimes it's delicious, it's great, it's like to reward yourself, but oftentimes what happens is your taste buds, because they're now new, they're brand new, and they've been reprogrammed with a whole new set of nutrients that you have fed the next set of cells.
And this is a big deal, because a lot of people know in general what they should eat and what they should stay away from, but sometimes they just kind of crave it and they overeat these bad foods. So if you were to just sustain and have the discipline for just a short period of time, you can literally rewire all those taste buds. That's fantastic.
That's it. It's all about changing the habits. And what's great to know with cellular regeneration is that your body helps with that. It's not just a mental game, it's a physical, biological change. So the last thing I want to say on the concept of cellular regeneration that makes it so powerful is that once you become aware of it, you ask yourself, how is my cellular regeneration program working for me? So if I've got a skin disorder, I've got a rash that I'm getting constantly, if I've got digestion problems, that's one of the first things I can ask myself. Well, Scott, how is your last 3 or 4 months, sometimes a year-long cellular regeneration program working for you? And if it's not working for you, you have to up the game of the nutrition that you are using to make and create the next set of cells.
You know what comes to mind is, and this is something I tell my patients as well, is like you are constantly replacing your cells with new cells and tissues, and the quality of those cells and tissues is really a byproduct of the quality of the food that you eat, right? Because those are the building blocks. Like, for instance, if you're going to build a house and all that was available at Home Depot was particle wood, right? And there wasn't even, anything else. And so you put together this house. Is it going to withstand? We're in Florida, right? So we have hurricanes. We start to think in context of a strong, well-built house, how it can endure a hurricane. And there's little hurricanes happening in the body, aren't there? And so that quality of that food is critical. So
absolutely.
So what do you have a general kind of ballpark? I mean, are you into ketosis? Are you raw? Like, what's the kind of the general diet
this is you ask
structure?
great questions. When I think most people first deeply enter the whole concept of nutrition and regeneration, I think it's very, very easy you read a book on ketosis, you read a book on raw foods, you eat a book, well, sometimes you do, you eat a book on macrobiotics or juicing or anything, and then you get such incredible results that you think, man, that's the answer, that's the ticket. And I think early on, before I started writing, that is kind of how I looked at it myself. But over time, and I think it's what caused my first book to go out there, was this idea of realizing, no, we have to learn how to eat as if it were a 20 or 30 year program that we are educating ourselves on. So to answer your question, I included all. A bit of ketosis, a bit of juicing, and I break, and it's interesting too, as every new phase of popularity comes along, you see maybe it's necessary, it's a human culture that we kind of trash the old. Well, I'm here to tell you that historically, actual grains have been used in the longest living cultures that in recorded history. So instead of throwing away grains because a bunch of people suddenly realize, man, I ate grains so much, or I ate so many carbohydrates that came from grains and it destroyed me, so therefore I'm not eating any grains. And I get that ping-ponging back and forth, but I'm trying to show people that yes to all of it. And the other thing that, go ahead, sorry.
Well, no, I'm excited over here because you're talking my language.
Oh,
you know?
really? Oh, good.
And alternating your diet, it's like, it's not about, you know, one particular method, but when you alternate, like for instance, if you're doing like something like ketosis, right? So you're all fat and protein, and your body's using ketones, which anybody watching this that's not familiar with that strategy, it's a fantastic strategy to maximize your energy and lose weight, actually. Great for diabetes. I mean, they've done a lot of studies.
Incredible.
But there's also an aspect of that where you have a carb loading day that they're finding to be much more beneficial. So, you know, they're starting to see that alternating the diet, it actually stimulates certain effects in the body to accommodate to that different diet, and that actually has a lot of healing properties to it.
Yeah. In every one of those new understandings that come along, I always really appreciate the knowledge base that they come in. It's sort of like someone discovers an element to healing or to longevity and says, guys, we got to pay attention to this. And that's really what ketosis did and keto did, is they had people going out and doing self-experiments, which is really what all this is about. We are our own walking Petri dishes, and we have to experiment to see what works for us. And that's what those guys did. Those guys and gals did is they went out and went full on 100% keto.
Yeah.
That to me is very commendable.
Yeah.
Along with that, you got to always remember, do you really, really need one more cult, one more religion, one more set of rules that makes you feel crappy if you don't follow it? You know, all you have to do is study the world's major, let's call them movements to be kind, you know, to realize where all of a sudden you set it up so there's the wrong and the right. Man, I'm really glad that you're talking this language. Because to answer the question.
So what have you figured out? Like what?
Take it all in.
Yeah.
Take it all in. I want you to juice a little bit. I want you to eat a few grains every day. I want you to do soups. I want you to do a bit of raw. I want you to really understand the power behind broths. I mean, salty, oily broths, daily, a bit of juicing, so impactful. So you take it all in, and what that does is it changes all the cells to go, this food, this cleansing food, tastes delicious, and I could actually see myself eating this way for life, because you're moving back and forth. You've got this like being on a, you know, you're able to move constantly. Suddenly there's a winter that comes along. Suddenly you move to Montana. Man, what you were eating in Saudi Arabia may not work. So you've got all of these tools. It's like, you know, sailing a ship. You realize I can't keep the same set of sails up in this weather.